Welcome back to another episode of Business Journey Unlocked. We're driving into critical areas of business: risk, compliance, and culture, the factors that directly impact a company's bottom line. I'm joined today with Jeffery Barnett, owner of Boston Safety and Compliance, a company operating in the construction and industrial safety consulting space. Jeffery brings a unique background in OSHA compliance, safety training, inspections, and investigations, helping organizations create a safer job site while navigating complex regulatory requirements. Jeffery, it's awesome to have you on today. I'm going to turn it over to you so you can explain what you're all about.
Hi, thank you. What I do is I work with small to medium companies. Most companies should have a safety person of some sort or another, but a lot of companies that don't have that ability to afford someone like me, you hire me to come in and do the same thing that a full-time person can do. What I do is I make sure you guys are compliant. I do that in several different ways. One, we teach you OSHA compliance and we teach you what you should and shouldn't do. But what it comes down to is building a culture. When you can get these guys to believe in what you're saying and not just shooting it at them, then they're going to start doing it on their own. I watch guys like me get on a job site and everybody shuts down. I walk on the job site, my guys are giving me, laughing at me, giving me hell all the time. Why? Because they know I'm there and they know I care. They know that I want them to go home every single night. Okay. That culture is the most important thing that you can teach in the business. And that starts with the company's, CEO all the way down to the guy that's getting hired next week. Um, so that's what I try to do is to build something that people want to do and learn, that they want to go home every single night with the same digits they came to work with. And it takes a long time to build that up. But that's what I try to do with companies is show them why safety is extremely important to them in their bottom line. Right now, fines at OSHA are $16,500. That's not the average. That's what the height is. And in January, around January 20th, about the time we have, every time, not this year, but like an election year, the president gets elected and goes into office. Right about that time is when the price goes up. And I'm thinking with the economy the way it is today, it's probably going to hit almost $17,000 next year. So you could get hit with a fine from about $8,000 to $17,000 on just something simple. And can a company afford that? Can they absorb that? No, you can't. And you shouldn't have to because you don't have to do that. If you do, if you just watch what you're doing and you get someone like myself showing you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, then you could save those. But then again, it's also, let's go back. Your insurances, your workers' comp, your regular insurance, we can bring those down by not having accidents. I'll show you how to not have accidents. That'll lower your workers' comp. By showing the insurance companies that you have someone there can lower your general industry, general liability insurance also. So you can save a lot of money for having someone like me in your facility.
Working in construction myself for about 2 years, it it's hard to shape the mindset on you're actually there
Yep,
to not only help them out with the company, but you said it yourself, you're there to save them money. You
correct.
said it's an easy 8, $7,000 slap to the face for something minor, something simple that if they would have known and done before, it would have saved them all that money. And there are a lot of companies who may not be able to absorb that fine.
Yeah,
Th
they can't. It's like you're driving on the highway. Could you imagine driving down the highway, got stuff going on, everything's in your mind. It's just like we all do, okay? Because we get complacent. And you drive by a cop. Cop's job is to make sure the highways are safe. Well, if you're doing a couple miles over, he or she's not going to say nothing. But now you're doing 20 over. Well, you're looking at a fine. You're looking at $400 depending on what state you're in. Okay. Who can afford a $300 ticket right now? Unless I'm wealthy, you can't. It's
Exactly.
hard the average person can't absorb it. $300 doesn't sound like a lot. You could pay these fines, yes, but that's $300 you could have done for something else. I mean, it nobody it's hard to absorb that little. Now that sounds like pennies. Yes, it is. And that $8,000 may sound pennies to a company, but it adds up and adds up and adds up. Okay, let's say they didn't get caught. Let's say it's not a OSHA fine. You didn't get the $8,000, but the guy was on a ladder or something and he fell off. Okay, if he breaks his leg, you're looking at a minimum $5,000 just to go to the clinic. Okay, and that's just an easy, simple break. That's not anything. Hey, but he's out of work. He's going to lose money, and then you're going to pay higher workers' comp. Okay, what if it's really super serious? It could go into $100,000. Okay, all right, I'll have my workers' comp pay that. You think that the workers' comp is there for you? You're sadly mistaken. All it says is that you're going to pay. So for the next 4 years, you're increased on your workers' comp. That you have to absorb that, not today, but today, next year, year after year, year after that. You're gonna keep absorbing it for the next 4 years, that one accident. Can you afford to absorb that over the next 4 years? Maybe. Why? You shouldn't, because we could turn around and show you how not to have that accident, how not to get that OSHA violation. Because any of the OSHA violations, I can guarantee the reason why they're out there in the first place is because a bunch of people got hurt or someone died. That's where they come from, and that's how they develop the new rules and regulations.
It just takes one person to make all
So
these different rules and regulations, but as you mentioned, they're there for a reason, to keep you
yes,
safe, to keep you compliant, to make sure you're going home to your family, your kids, your loved ones. That's all it really boils down. And let me ask you
yes.
this. I always enjoy asking this question just from your perspective. How did you start the company? Did you see a gap, a problem, and your skills and experiences were able to facilitate that gap?
I wish I could say that. I got into it really a weird way. I have to mention his name out loud because if I don't, he'll be mad at me. Kelly Heathington, if you're listening, buddy, thanks. I was in the construction industry. I was actually a roofer for one of the largest roofing companies in the state of Oklahoma. I got sick and tired of hurting my body, so I went back to
Right.
college. While doing my dissertation, I convinced my safety guy to do my research for me because I knew he had all the research. And at the time I was doing this, he knew what I was doing. He gave me the research, and then he kind of planted the seed in my head, become a safety guy. I never even thought about becoming one. Didn't want it. I was the anti. Nah, we just didn't get. I just didn't want to do it, and put it in my head. And as I was on my way home in my company pickup truck, and somehow I ended up at the university before I hit my house, and next day, I was in safety. I was finishing up my second degree and started my third degree to become a safety guy. That's how I started. He ended up leaving the company. I ended up leaving the company, and he hired me with his company, and then I took over his company, and now I changed the name of the company, of course, and I just, I moved up from there. That's how I got into it. It was by accident. I enjoy safety. I love safety. I love the people I work with because I was one of them. I didn't get hurt. I could see people could get hurt, but I saw it in a different view than someone that says, "Oh, I saw someone get hurt or I got hurt and that's why I got into it." That's really not a good reason to get into it because you had to be hurt to, you know, to get into something. No, I saw a need through the eyes of Kelly, and he showed me a different way. And he's such a good instructor. He was such a good person to take that time, even with someone him and I we had big conflicts against each other. He took his time and showed me why I should be where I'm at. And I'm a good instructor. I used to be a police instructor when I was a police officer, so it was natural for me to just go from one law to another law, and that's what I do now. I try to keep people safe, either before or after the fact. I look at the facts and try to help people make sure that what has happened won't happen again.
It's actually amazing how you had the framework before
Mhm.
going into this field, prior law enforcement. God bless
Yeah.
on that. And I'm a very firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and the best things in life happen accidental. You
Yes.
didn't plan on going into this, it just fell into your lap, and then over time, you grew to not only love it, but also you loved the value that you're providing. What was that?
Yes.
Making sure, as I mentioned, everyone's getting home to their loved ones. That's the bottom line. No matter X to Z, A to B, you're there to make sure everybody is safe, healthy, and secured in the job site. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Obviously, with your approach, it's revolving around building a true safety culture, not just checking boxes. with that aspect, what is one non-negotiable principle that guides you at your work, and how does that philosophy translate into an advantage for the clients that you serve on the job sites?
Uh, well, like I said, I worked in the industry, so knowing what you shouldn't do, because let me tell you, I was the guy. I was the guy I don't want out there anymore. Okay. I would do the crazy things. I would do the things that could get you hurt. And I saw that. I mean, I'm a smaller guy, I'm a lighter guy. I did things that I probably shouldn't have done. I took risks, and I know that. So I can see it really quick. And I'm a bull in a china cabinet. Um, Anyone that knows me knows that. It doesn't matter if I'm going up against OSHA, going up against someone else, going up against another safety person, even going into court. I'm an expert witness. I'm a bull in a china cabinet. If I know I'm right, I fight, and I'll fight for my guys. If they do something right, I'm going to fight for them, and they know it. But they also know if they've done something wrong, I'm also the guy that's going to, sit there and talk to them. My all my guys know that. They go, "Oh crap, Jeff's coming." They're like, "All right, take a breather. If he's saying it, it must be done right." So they know that I'm going to protect them first, and then if I've had guys get yelled at by general contractors, so don't yell at my guys. Don't yell at my guys. I will take care of it. And I'll get to my guys and I'll say, hey, listen, you guys did do wrong. I protected you from them, but hey, let's do this right. This is why I want you to do this. My guys, sometimes I've had an incident where my guys did everything they were supposed to do by the law, by the book. And I go, hey, guys, listen, I need you to change it just a little bit. And they go, well, we're doing it right. I said, yes. But if we do it this way, I can guarantee when someone does something stupid. For instance, I had the guys, they put a propane tank far enough away from what they call a pot, which is for roofing industry. But it was close to where guys were driving forklifts. I says, see, you put it up on a little hill, but can you see someone not paying attention, and all of a sudden the forks go through your propane tank? He goes, yeah, I can see that. I said, just move it over a little bit. Are you right? Yes, you were 100% right. You did everything that the book tells you to do. No one said anything except for me, but this is why I want you to do this. And I want you to move the ladder because, hey, if something happens, how are you getting off your roof? You're going to go right into where the fire is going to happen. Are you set up right? Are you legally set up? Yes. But explain to them why you want them to do something. Don't just say, just do it my way because I told you to do it. I hate that because they don't want to do it because you're telling them, just do it because I said so. No, guys, this is why I want you to do it. This is why we do what we do. So let's try a little bit better way. And you know what? I get more better results because the guy's like, okay, that makes sense to me. And that's what they want to hear. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be part of the solution. And that is the most important thing, is become part of the solution, not the problem.
Exactly, you make a fair point. You just essentially you have to lead by example too. And
Yes.
having that approach that you have, again, you're indirectly telling them what to do, but you're not directly telling it, because the thing is with human psychology, when you're indirectly telling somebody to do it, but they pretty much, so to speak, thought of to do it themselves,
Yep.
then that has a greater yield and greater response rate as opposed to saying, "No, you did that wrong. This is what you have to do, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna make sure you do it." No, that's not gonna go far in life at
No,
all.
it doesn't. And I like the thing is once these guys know you respect them. I've had guys stop jobs and say, "Hey, I got to call my safety guy on this one." And I come up and they ask me questions and I answer it. I said, "What do you guys want to do?" And I'll let them make a decision. They go, "Well, I think we should do this, this, and this." I said, "Well, you know what? You're right. Let's just add a little bit more, make them happy, keeps you happy." And they go, "All right, we'll give them a little because, you know." But they'll say, "Hey, we want this, this, and this." And I'm like, That's not going to work." My guys know it's not going to work, but they're not taking the chances no more. They are like, no, I'm not. I want to go home tonight. My life is more important than getting this stupid job done. I said,
Mhm.
exactly. And our rates have gone down because guys are starting to call me and say, hey, what should I do to do this? I'm right. Am I? I'm like, yes and no, or yeah, you are right. Tell them where they're right and tell them where we could do some improvements. Give them a chance to make more decisions on their own. And you'll be amazed if you teach them right, they will come up with some good solutions. Not all the time, but a good majority of the time, they figure it out and they go, "Hey, will this work? Yeah, that'll work." Or, "No, adjust it a little bit." "Okay, that makes sense." You got to let it make sense to them, or they're not going to do it.
I'm a big proponent on not being in something called analysis paralysis, meaning you're just over examining everything. But given your line of work, that's essentially your day to day.
Yeah,
You're thinking
unfortunately.
of every single outcome that could possibly happen and how would you prevent that from happening while the workers are there to just do their work directly. They're not thinking of anything else. They're not thinking,
Yeah,
what happens if I put this propane tank here and, someone with a forklift? No, they're just thinking about, okay, let me put it here for now. Let me get back to it later. But you're thinking of what happens if this person does this or what happens if
yeah.
that person does that. Small deviations would make a
Small.
huge outcome, positive
It
or
does.
negative.
It really does. And I tell people a story. When I was in doing my MBA, I had a professor, a doctor, and him and 200 other people with at least a master's degree, at least 20 years in the oil and natural gas industry, sat in Marietta, Louisiana, which is just outside Nolens. And they were told at this hotel for 2 weeks, your job is to figure out what could go wrong with an oil rig. Go. And they went into small groups. They got back together. They went back, they just, this 2 weeks. And what happened with Deepwater Horizon? They said, "Yeah, it never came up. We never thought about it." So no matter how much we do, we're always going to make tiny mistakes. These are the experts. These were people with doctors and master's degree with 20 years experience in the industry did not know that Deepwater Horizon was going to happen. You figure, come on. You should have figured that out. You've been in the industry. Doesn't matter. And it's not always someone that has 20, 30, 40 years experience. Sometimes the guy with the first day can tell you, hey, man, that's not going to work because they see something because we put blinders on. So don't discount people when they say something. Say, okay, well, don't disregard them. They may have an idea and it may not be full, but listen to what they got to say and say, okay, that kind of will work, but if we did this, it would work better because sometimes they can see something you cannot see. And that's what people should understand also, because we push ourselves to be just exactly what you just said, to find every little thing wrong. Sometimes we can't see it because we're looking too hard. Sometimes we need to step back and really look at the situation. And that's what's different between me and say someone's full time because they see the same thing every day, every day, every day. I'm not saying they're no good at what they do. They can be great at what they do, but they see the same thing every day. So they miss the tiny little things. And I walk in and I go, okay, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Well, you're just pulling things apart. It's because I'm not here every day. I'm with fresh eyes.
Mhm.
And it's nothing against you because you're doing a great job. It's just that's why you hire someone like me to come in, look at something with fresh eyes, and see the difference. What you can't see right in front of your face. I tell people as simple as this: tell me you drive to work. They go, yeah. Tell me every car you saw on the way to work today. Tell me every light that you stopped at. And they go, I can't do that because that's what you do every single day. Not saying you didn't know how to drive. Not saying you're not a good driver. You just don't realize because your mind can only accept so much information.
Exactly, and it's just getting comfortable in a sense as well. I really love that approach you mentioned about going into an organization, a job site with fresh eyes.
Yeah,
Because sometimes, even though they're excellent at their job, as you
yeah,
mentioned, there are just little nuances that would go from a 10 to 100. And it's
mhm,
just small little things. As
yeah,
you mentioned earlier, it's just from the fact is a little minute situation
mhm,
could have everlasting effects from
yep,
personal injury, or
yep,
also from the fact that fines, right?
yep. And the thing is just like I said, these guys are great at what they do, and I don't want anyone to think that's I'm saying something different. I think every great general and all these big general contractors, they're really good at what they do. They hire people like me, but again, it's not even the big things because the guys will catch the big things that quick. It's the little things when you're walking through and you're going,
Mhm.
"Hey, man, what about this? What about this?" I've had some general contractors when I have clients on there, they'll call me up and they'll say, "Hey, can you?" Or they'll call a client of mine up, specific client, and they'll say, "Hey, can we borrow him? Have him come walk through our site?" Because when I walk through it, I can see things that they don't see, and they're like, "Oh," and they feel upset, like, "Man, why didn't I catch that?" Well, because you've been looking too close. You're looking too close. you're seeing it, but you're not seeing it, and it's just blowing by you. I says you could do that for every site that I work on a regular basis because I'll miss a lot of stuff myself if I'm there, constantly and trying to find all the stuff because you get frustrated, your mind actually will black it out. So that's why I try to tell people that's what's the difference between me and a full-time person.
Given the increasing regulatory pressure from OSHA primarily,
Mm.
what do you think is the most important operational shift that companies need to make right now to protect their bottom line to ensure long-term sustainability?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a tough question to answer because every company is a little different. But the best thing to do, is one, understand workers' comp. Get someone that knows workers' comp. Even if they're not a full-time, someone like me that looks at it a little differently, sees things you can't see. Do the training you're supposed to do, and then back the training up. Make sure these guys just don't have them train and then let them keep doing those things the way they normally do. Yeah, the training's great, but if you don't watch over them to say to make sure they're doing the right thing, then you're just defeating the whole purpose of having a safety guy. Um, there's a lot of state agencies out there, and I say state because we have, like, here in Oklahoma, we have a state OSHA. They'll come out and they'll help you out. Don't rely on them, but, if you need them, bring them out there. They'll show you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. They do exactly the same thing I do for free because we're already paying for it. It's a good program. Just be careful about how you use the program. That's one thing I would suggest. And I know a lot of states, there's a few states that actually override the federal. They don't override like Cal OSHA, New Mexico, Washington, and Oregon, and a few states where the federal OSHA is there, but they don't have the power like they do in all the regular states. They do, they can take over, but they allow the state because they have their own writing powers. In other words, they have their own citation powers. Where states like I'm in Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, things like that, they don't. Federal OSHA does all the citations. All their state OSHA does is do the training and show you what you're doing right, what you're not doing right. But those other states, they're really good at helping you out, especially Washington and Oregon. Oregon's really good. They come in and they try to help you. They're not. You gotta understand, OSHA's not there to cite you. They care less about the citation. They care about you going home every single night. That's the problem. Is people look at OSHA as, oh, they're just a police department and they're waiting around the corner to, either arrest me or give me a ticket. No, that's not what they're trying to do. I can tell you right now, I know a lot of OSHA inspectors and, they're out there just trying to do their job the right way. They care less. They don't get anything off of it. The citations are there to get you to listen. And if you're not going to do what they ask you to do, then they're going to have to cite you. Unlike a police officer who writes you a ticket, you go to court and you fight it. Here, you get a citation, they'll listen to you, and they may cut the citation down. They may do a lot of things. They may get rid of it. I've won citations because the OSHA guy did the wrong thing, but we did the right thing to make sure that what they thought we did wrong wasn't wrong. That's the difference. They want to make sure everyone goes home tonight, not just cite you because it's their job, because they really care less about citing. There's a lot of paperwork they don't want to do.
Well, it's just going back to what I pointed out earlier with the mindset. People just have
Yes.
this negative viewpoint on OSHA, auditors, anybody that's
Yep.
trying to look at their internal systems. But if they're doing it correctly, what do they have to
Mhm.
lose? Nothing. It's just having
They have
somebody
nothing to lose.
come. Exactly, they have nothing to lose. They're just coming, making sure everything's compliant, everything's safe, to making sure it's up to
Yep.
standard. That's all it is. It's just standards at the end of the day.
Hey,
Get rid of all the
that's what it is.
exactly, get rid of all the fluff, all the BS. It's just standards cut and dry. And once people
Well,
understand
let's just
that
put it this
mindset.
way.
Go on.
This is what I tell people all the time. If you would do what I tell you to do the first time and the rest of your time you have your career, I would be out of a job. I would be out of a job
Mhm.
because I'm showing you how to do it. Problem is we get complacent. We forget. That's the reason why I got to keep coming back. OSHA was designed because people, the government wanted to make sure you were safe. Not they didn't care because like what people don't understand is unlike any other department in the federal government, they do stuff on their own. They have a budget from the federal government. Any of their citations, like in the police department, some of that goes back to the police department, some of that goes to the city, county, state, whatever. All federal citations just go back to the federal government, just like your taxes. No one cares if it comes in or not. Their budget's not affected by how many citations they write because it doesn't affect them, and it's set that way so that this is set up so that it's there to protect you, not just penalize you. The citations are there for the companies that refuse to listen or follow the rules. There's a difference, and like I tell my guys, hey, don't worry about when an OSHA guy comes. You can't get signed. You can't get fined. You can't get arrested. Nothing like that. These guys cannot do nothing to you. They can only do something to the company. So tell them the truth. And the
Right.
guys understand. Okay, we're not scared of these guys. Yeah, don't be scared of them. They don't. They can't hurt you. Just tell them the truth, and the truth will set you free. I guarantee it. If you do the right things and you tell the truth, you'll be fine. And that's all they want to know is are you doing the right thing for your employees to make sure they go home every night. Everybody wants to go home. I'm sorry, but you don't go to work because you feel like going to work. You go to work for a paycheck. And I tell that to guys. I say, you're here for a paycheck. If you're wealthy, why would you be here? So that's why you go to work. So let's go home. I ask people, one of the big questions I ask after, especially after a big class, what do you have at home? Who's waiting for you? Who relies on your paycheck? And you'll be amazed at how many, I don't ask them to answer out loud. It's an answer in your head. And you'll be amazed as these guys start thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, if I died today, who's going to pay to make sure my kids go to school? Who's going to pay for to take care of my wife or my kids or my grandkids? I tell that to people all the time. It says, and the guy goes, I don't have any kids anymore. So you got grandkids? Yeah. I says, all right. You want to be able to retire so you can wind them up and send them home? He goes, yeah. I says, all right, then let's be safe.
Sometimes
That's
people
when you
just
hit home. That's how you hit
exactly,
home.
precisely, and they just need to have that thought, that shift, because a
Yes.
lot of times they never think about that. Naturally, as humans, we're always
No.
thinking about ourselves, right? But once they
Yes.
actually start thinking
And
Mhm,
I tell people to think about themselves, and then I say think about your family.
exactly,
Get that paradigm shift. Get that flipped. Flip that brain. And some people you just can't, and that's you can't win them all. But I'm going to make sure I win the big ones.
the majority.
Um, yes, and I've got guys that come to work and they'll say I'm not going to work with that guy. Why? He's unsafe. I want to go home, and he's going to get us hurt, and I don't want to be there when we get hurt. I
And
want to go home. So, and I work with a lot of Latinos, some that can barely speak English, and I go on a job site and they call me all kinds of names, good and bad, but they all giggle and laugh with me, but they know it. They know that I'm there for them, and that's the most important thing. You know, that's just it. I realized a long time ago, people say, "Well, I don't like being picked on." I found that if they don't pick on me, they don't like me. So my guys pick on me all the time, and other safety guys, man, you let them do that. I said, "Sure, if it makes them happy, they all pick on me. Give me hell. I don't care. Why? They're talking to me. They're going to tell me what's right, what's wrong, what's going on. They will talk to me. They'll tell me, "Hey, Jeff, we're having an issue." And I will take care of that issue for them. I says, "Let me fight your battles. Don't fight them on your own." I think that's the biggest thing is I have a problem with is not the guys doing that, but getting the owners to let me fight the battles. They want to fight the battles because that's the way business really is. You hire me to fight your battles. Let me fight them for you, and let me show you what we can do for you. And I've had a few backfires on me. Um, Clients don't like the idea that they want to live up, give me a little control. The ones that allow me to control, they realize, wow, just let him go, because that's what I do. Let me do what I do, and I will protect you and your employees. I'm gonna By protecting your employees, I'll protect your bottom line because I care less about your bottom line. I care about your employees. And they go, well, why do I have you here? If I protect your employees, it'll protect your bottom line. But I
Mhm.
don't care about your bottom line. Why? Because your employees come first. And a lot of people go, "Ugh, I don't like that idea until then they realize, wait a minute, if he's protecting my employees, I'm not hiring more employees, I'm not losing money. So he's protecting my bottom line without protecting my bottom line. I said, yeah, exactly.
And
So that's how I do it.
there's a reason why they hired you.
Mhm.
You're there
Yes,
to do your job. You're here to do the fulfillment of their part. If they don't like it, then why'd they hire you? You're there for a reason.
exactly. Sometimes I get people that hire me because they have to, and
Mm.
then I show them where over time. Well, I have a gentleman that I have worked for. He's like, "Man, I didn't want you here for a long time." He goes, "But how many times you saved my butt?" He goes, "You're there every single time." And I said, "Yes, that's my job. Let me do my job." So now when something comes up on the first phone call, "Hey, what's going on?" All right, and I have to kind of walk them off the ledge and say, "Okay, everything's fine. Just come on back a little bit." But they learn to use me the way they're supposed to use me, and then they start saying, "Oh, wow, you're worth more money than you charge." Because I charge, I don't, man, you can get what I do for a lot less money. You can go to the VOTEC and have someone give you the classes and meet the requirements of the VOTEC. VOTECs are great. The problem with VOTECs is it's just there to do one thing only. They're not there for the after or to help you get to the next level. They're just there to give you what you paid for and go. And then they realize why the VOTECs are cheaper than me because I give them more in the long run and I take care of them when things do have issues.
I'm a big proponent on quality over quantity. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
reason why you charge what you do. You got the experience, you got the
Yes.
knowledge, the background. That what more could you ask for? You're transparent, you're direct. Like again, you're just there to do your job. End of day, do your
Yes.
job, making sure that everybody goes home. Now,
Yep.
as Boston Safety and Compliance continues to scale and handle more complex situations, complex client needs. What is a current internal process that you're actively trying to systemize right now to not only maintain the quality, but also maintaining the efficiency as well?
Well, I'm a small company and I want to stay that. It's just me. I only take on clients that I believe are going to listen and help. Let me help them. I mean, I do take on clients that just want a safety class. That's fine. We'll go do that, make a little extra money. Um, but most of my clients that I have are the ones that really want me there.
Mm.
So once I get to a point where I can't handle anymore, I won't take anymore. Because there's enough of us out there that you can, I don't, if they just want someone just to be a yes person, let me tell you, there's plenty of guys out there that do what I do. If you want someone that's going to back you up, be there for you, 3 o'clock in the morning when something goes awry, I'm your guy. And you say, wait a minute, there's no one someone calling you. I literally was called on Christmas Day about 15 years ago because that's what needed to be, and it happens. Because if my employees are working, I'm working. Because I'm in the roofing industry, like, oh, you only do it in the daytime. Well, that's not true. If you do a federal job or something like that, and you can't be on the roof because people are working inside, then guess what? My guys get hurt at 3 o'clock in the morning. I expect a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, if I have to be on the phone with OSHA at 7 o'clock at night on a Friday night, guess what? I'm on the phone with OSHA at 7 o'clock at night because I have been. Um, and be on the job site the next morning doing an investigation because it's required. So I want to keep my clients where they can call me 24 hours a day. And that's the way I am. And they know that. And they enjoy it. They say we may never need it, but I'm glad we have it because it makes me sleep at night, they say.
It just shows how serious you are with your
Hmm.
line of work.
Yes.
With Boston safety and compliance being in the market going on almost 10 years now, what is the ultimate impact you hope that you have on clients, organizations that you serve?
The impact I've seen already. I had a young guy starting out a company. He got cited, didn't know what to do. He went into his community and he goes, I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
One of my employees, not a client, an employee said, hey, hands him my business card and says, you call him and you tell him I sent you. He goes, he'll take care of you. And he goes, you don't worry about the cost. Just hire him. He goes, the sticker price is going to be tough, but hire him. So they called me. We sat down and I helped him out. I ended up helping him out eh, to do a favor for another friend. I didn't tell him that till the end, but that's when I know I'm doing the right thing. Is when employees tell you, "Hey, that's the guy you want right there." I mean, clients will do that all the time, but when the employees who are supposed to hate you recommend you to people, that's when you know you're doing your job.
And it's beautiful. It really shows the
Yes.
true value, the true impact you
Yes.
have on everybody that you get connected with. Before we wrap up here, going on either a personal or professional level, what is one habit or belief that you carry day to day that has allowed you to succeed to where you are in life right now?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. It's not a religious one. Thomas Paine once said, "Lead, follow, or get out of the way." Then back in 1980, Lee Iacocca said the same thing: "Lead, follow, or get out of the way." A lot of people don't understand what that means. It's very simple. When you come into an organization, you lead. You show them what you want. You lead. Then you follow them like a shepherd, just like in Christ. He lets you do what you want. He doesn't tell you what to do. That's what makes him a great God. You follow. He follows for a while. And then they asked him, he goes, "Well, simple. I led my people. I followed them, make sure they were doing what I asked them to do." He goes, "And then when they knew what they were doing, I got out of their way and let them do what they need to do." And when I come into a company, I lead. And then I follow them and I show them where, keep them in there just like a shepherd does with his sheep and flock to keep them in the way they need to be. I let them do it, but I follow them. And then I just get out of their way. Once I've given them the tools, I get out of the way. If something goes awry, then I step back in. Yeah, I'm teaching stuff, but this is a mind frame that I put in my head that you got to let people be people. If not, then what are you doing? They've got to get to that point where they want to do it themselves, and that's what they do, and that's where I'm at.
Essentially, it comes down to you don't want to hold their hand every single time. You
No.
just don't. You can guide them to a certain extent, but it's up
Mhm.
to them to realize their actions that they're doing. There's a reason why
Yes.
you do what you do. You're not there every single day, depending on what you're doing, depending on how serious the violations are, the fines, or just how complex the company is. Sure, you might be there for longer
Yep.
service as opposed to other companies, other situations, but the bottom line is you should tell them once and then they shouldn't do it again. If they keep on doing it, then you step back, be like, okay, what exactly is the issue here? Are they not learning? Are they not listening to me? Do they not care that they're going to get fined? Because once you have that drilled in their
Yep.
mind that this is a monetary value that you're trying to keep for them, you're trying to prevent all this thousands of dollars, money talks. And once
Mm.
people see,
Yes.
some people are more visual learners too. Once people see that impact, they're like, "Oh crap! Like Jeff was right. I should actually,
Yeah.
I should
I
actually
mean,
listen to him."
uh, yeah. The thing is the first thing they think is that, wow, this is going to cost me X amount of dollars. I say, okay, you're at that level. I know that's the first level I'm at. Once they start seeing, wow, we're saving money. We're not having this issue. I literally have a client right now. He wrote a check because the guy broke his leg. And he did exactly what I told him to do. He went into the hospital and said, "We're paying for this." The woman says, "That's going to be $61,000." And he says, "Okay, no problem." Starts writing the check. She goes, "Oh, you're doing that today?" He goes, "Yeah." Goes, "Hold on, let me give you cash price." It ended up being $40,000. And he walked away. And when he wrote from my invoice, he brought me in instead of just sending it to me as he's writing the check. He basically told me that he hated my guts. And I said, "All right, I'm sorry, is the check gonna clear?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "That's all that matters." And he laughed. He goes, I can hate you all I want, but my gosh, every time you're around, it might cost me money, but it costs me less money." He goes, "You save me so much money. I hate writing you a check, but I'll keep writing you checks as long as you keep making me money." And people are like, "Well, you're not making him money." Yes, I am. I'm saving him thousands of dollars, either in workers' comp or injuries or insurance. I'm saving the time when you don't have to go to someone and say, "Hey, your loved one passed away." Because I had to do that. I've done that more than once, and that's not a good feeling. Um, so we don't want that to happen. We don't want to have to go to the hospital and say, "Hey, we're sorry this happened to you. We want to be able to say, hey guys, we're having a great year this year. Christmas bonuses are here. We're giving out gifts this year. Here's your Christmas party. Thank you for guys for being here. You know, and they don't realize that because we did what we were supposed to do all year long, they had a better Christmas party. But the company knows, but the owners know.
The biggest idea is just going on an ROI standpoint. You're saving them time and you're saving them money.
Hmm.
Bottom line.
Yep. You got to get them to understand what the ROI is. It's hard to explain ROI to a company when you're putting money out, but you don't see money coming in. You have to have someone that understands that, you got to look at how much you're not spending. My boss, I told you, Kelly Heathington, he he guy hired him to do some classes. He goes, man, why don't you let me do this, this, and this? He goes, nah, what I do is I put $150,000 in a trust fund on January 1st, and anything that's left over, I give to the guys at the end of the year. He goes, are you kidding me? He goes, no, that's the best way to do it. He goes, what if I could save you one accident, two accidents, three accidents? He goes, what if I could save you not doing that every single year? He goes, yeah, you can't do that. He goes, why don't you give me a chance? He gave him a chance, and guess what? He didn't spend as much as he thought he was going to. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, where's your $150,000? He goes, well, I got most of it still here. He goes, because we stopped the accidents.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't think of that, he said. He goes, wow. So I spent this much money to save this much money. Yes. And that's what it comes down to. It's all about modifier, and it's all about understanding your modifier. We probably don't have time, but modifier is if you guys want to know about it, talk to me. How and why I save you money is through a modifier. And if you don't understand modifier, I have a simple way of showing you what you need to be doing and looking for when you get your workers' comp insurance, what your modifier should be, and it's your industry will determine your modifier and how it works. But it's very simple, and they make it complicated, but it's not that complicated. If you lower your modifier, you pay less insurance. So simple as that.
For anyone who's looking to get any interest in the modifier or just looking to get connected to either you or the company, what's the best place to reach out to you?
Well, you can get on my website, which is bostonsafetyok.com, or you can contact me at jeff@bostonsafetyok.com. That's the easiest way to get it, or call me or text me. I don't know if you can see my text number back there. There it is. Um, so it's easier just to get online. You can see what I do and don't do, and it has all my information up there. Look up Boston Safety. You should be able to find it. It's right there on Google or everywhere else you want to look at. Um, but that's probably the easiest way. I don't have a problem with people calling me and asking me questions. I'd much rather have you ask me a question before you have to call me to say, hey, what do I do to fix this? It costs more to fix something than it is to make sure it doesn't happen.
Damn
That's what people
straight.
don't understand.
Damn straight.
Because you're going to pay me and you're going to pay me heavier for me to fix everything you've done right away. Where if you're paying me in the beginning and we get it to the point, it's never going to happen. So you don't have those incidents or issues. Like it says, $8,000 to $16,000 for a fine. That's tough to take on.
Mhm.
From five, I mean, if you get someone hurt, your minimum $5,000, all the way up to whatever it costs. So just know that's a lot of money if someone gets hurt. And then if you get sued, that's even more money. I work with lawsuits every day. You just don't want to know the cost of a lawsuit. Even if you win, I had a client of mine hire me. We won, and it cost them $60,000 to win. Um, yeah, and that's winning. That's not even
Mhm.
they didn't even lose, they won. I mean, I beat them hands down. I mean, I proved that we were in the right, and my attorney's like, "You know how much that cost them?" I said, "Yeah, I know what it cost them, because it cost them $3,500 just for me to prove that they were right, not counting everybody else and all the other experts and the lawyer's fees and the court fees and all that. It was $60,000 for something they didn't even do wrong." So, we wanna make sure that those things don't happen to you. You should have someone looking out for your best interest.
And as you mentioned, it does add up in the long run. It truly does.
Yes.
Even though they won that case, it's still costing them $60,000. Like, that's a lot of
Yes.
money.
Yes.
A lot of money.
Yeah, we got a guy that, fell off, scaffolding.
Oh god.
He gets my client got sued. We won because he shouldn't have done what he did. He shouldn't have been on the scaffold in the first place. He got his workers' comp, and then he tried to sue, and come to find out, after I get all done with it, even though the case was dropped, they still have to pay the lawyer's fees to fight the case,
Oh,
and that's gets you're looking at 5, 10, $20,000 even if you win. So, it's up to you. I mean, that's what you wanna do. Don't take a chance. I wouldn't. Not knowing what I know, I wouldn't take the chance because you wanna make sure everybody goes home safe, even if it's not your own employees. So, that's important.
I wouldn't either. Jeff, thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time to talk to me. I really
You're
do
welcome.
appreciate you getting connected.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.